Hello, I'm Rosalyn Nieves.
And I'm Lucia Dragos.
Welcome to Queen's Perspectives. For today's program, we're going to bring you over to Citi Field for a local presentation given by the Flushing Willets Point Corona Local Development Corporation.
Claire Schumann, the president and CEO of the corporation, along with Linda Doe, Nick Roberts, Kim Matthews, Martin Taub, Peter Lebowitz, Vincent Risso, and Michael Stoller will provide insights about the project's progress.
This project will have a huge impact on North Central Queens, so without further ado, I would like to present today's program.
We welcome all of you on behalf of the LDC. We thank you for your support. There's so much going on and so much to share with you that without any further ado, I'm going to present Claire Schumann, the President and CEO of the LDC, for her remarks and greetings. Claire?
Let me just give you an overview of what we are doing, and then we will put AKRF on, our consultants, and they will tell you in greater detail what is happening in downtown Flushing. We've been working very hard with them to plan for 60 acres of downtown Flushing, which is the BOA area that the Department of State has funded for us. They have given us $1.5 million to plan for Flushing. And so what I would like to do now is introduce Nick Roberts, who will bring to you the AKR people. He will introduce them and give you a brief summary of what they are doing.
Thank you, Claire. I'm Nick Roberts, the project manager here at the LDC. And for those of you who were with us last year, we just received our BOA grant from the state, and we just commenced the planning efforts. So it's very exciting for me to introduce our BOA consultant team, AKRF. So without further ado, I'd like to introduce Linda, who's the project manager for AKRF.
Thank you, Nick. Good evening, everyone. Thank you very much for being here. We have the BOA district, which is about 60 acres, as Claire had mentioned. And it's bounded by Northern Boulevard to the north, Prince Street to the east, Roosevelt Avenue to the south, and the Flushing River to the west. It entails about 116 lots with about 84 owners. So obviously there needs to be a certain amount of consensus. In order to have a successful plan, we needed to do a lot of outreach, and that is part of the mandate of the BOA plan. And part of it was going in and looking at the LDC's vision. We had this as part of the approach for how we were going to handle the BOA process. And it's really to strengthen the status of Flushing as one of the city's important downtowns, allow for mixed-use development and enhance waterfront access, position Flushing for sustainable long-term growth, and create a place to visit, live, recreate, and do business. So with that, because it's a DOS BOA grant, one of the very important elements is public participation and consensus building. As we've noted, we have something like 116 different lots with at least 84 owners. So it's very important that they be able to think about it and to understand what the ramifications of some of these proposals are. So we've done, in this past year, we've had meetings with various property owners as well as local organizations to get their thoughts and their inputs. We've done also translated notices of fact sheets and handouts in English, Korean, and Chinese. And the LDC has also posted updates on their websites. We've done display ads in the local newspaper, and we've sent out mailers to property owners and businesses just to give them information and to encourage them to be part of the process. This culminated in our first public open house meeting on October 18th, where, as you can see here, we had a very open house forum where people could just come, listen to us, ask questions. In the past year, we've met and have consulted a number of times with about 7 city and state agencies. All of this is to try to get early on coordination, consensus building, so that we know where we can go with the plan. and we will continue to reach out to them to make sure that we're still on track along the way. And lastly, one of the things I wanted to do was just to remind everyone about the master plan goals here. We want to provide a connection between downtown Flushing and the waterfront. We'd like to have a waterfront esplanade and open space enhancements that allows for mixed-use development and the waterfront as a destination. We want to have the pedestrian connection between downtown Flushing and the future Willets Point development. And lastly, we want to make sure that it all works through an improved transportation access. So with that, I'd like to have Kim come up and present some of the conceptual designs as we move forward. Thank you.
One of the things that our design team has been doing is starting to look at how we can think about access to the waterfront, make open space connections, and how that might look physically on some of the different parcels adjacent to the waterfront. The goal of the master plan process is to have something that works incrementally and that really creates destinations along the waterfront. We've talked a little bit about the river edges already tonight, but I just want to remind you that it's part of a greater green network that extends down to Flushing Park and includes a number of wetlands on the other side of the creek or river. And part of our design team work has also been to study the types of edges that there are along the waterfront now. Some of the properties have what we call soft edges and some have hard edges. And that is really, that understanding and knowing where the floodplain is and remembering important buildings like the clock tower give us an overall framework for how the plan is being developed. As we look at some of these ideas we're coming up with, we always want to remember that to get people to the waterfront, we want it to be a good destination, a safe destination, one that gives you great views across the river, gives you great pathways to walk right alongside the river, and whether it's a hard edge or a soft edge, you can create different environments there as you're working, moving along the waterfront. This is an example of Shop Architects' recently completed pier work on the East River waterfront to give you a sense of all the different types of places that people could go and sit along the waterfront.